Welcome to the Gus Alba Perspective, a videocast that is earmarked to hone in on the mindset of abundance and gratitude over the mindset of fear and scarcity. Nowadays, we are driven along the lines of thinking on negative themes instead of celebrating the positive things and positive aspects that abound in our lives. The thematic that I'd like to address today is a very important one. I get an opportunity of seeing a lot of patients on a daily basis, and being a board certified psychiatrist, I oftentimes end up being asked to traverse certain terrain with patients. And the theme today is one that I've been seeing a fair amount of, and that is weathering maturational change in a teen. Sometimes I get parents coming in, again, feeling frustrated over what they're seeing in their loved ones. And sometimes I see the exact counterpoint, the teens that come in conjunction with their parents. And again, the frustration they're feeling over not necessarily being heard. So navigating maturational changes during adolescence can really be challenging for teens. But what I'd like to do through this video cast is explore several strategies that might help uh, that teen weather this particular period of transition effectively. And I say this also as a parent, as well as a professional that ends up seeing individuals on a regular basis. The most important thing that should be preserved is open communication. By encouraging open and honest communication between teens and trusted adults, such as parents, guardians, or mentors, we open the door of possibility, providing a supportive and non-judgmental environment where teens feel comfortable in discussing their thoughts and their feelings and their concerns can help them navigate maturational changes more effectively. When we don't do this, we are further stigmatizing conditions that are and should be readily discussed. Educating and informing people is really important. If you educate a teen about the physical, the emotional, the social changes that occur during adolescence, you're preparing them for a lot of confusion, for a clarification of a lot of confusion that might subsequently come out. By providing accurate information about puberty, hormonal fluctuation, and brain development, that can help teens understand and normalize their experiences. Otherwise, they feel so out of the woods that they're completely, bewildered over all of the different things that are happening. Somebody might be able to visualize changes in their physicality, but not necessarily consider what's happening internally within them from a hormonal point of view. Now, self-exploration and identity development are really important facets also. By encouraging teens to explore their interests and their values and their identity, that becomes important. Because by the way, adolescence is a time of self-discovery, and helping teens to explore different aspects of themselves can help them develop a strong sense of self-confidence as well as identity, but not necessarily, throw down misinformation at them and confuse them further, because that will subsequently evoke a bit more of a problematic along the lines of figuring out who they are. Now, emotional regulation skills are really important to teach teens. By giving somebody practical strategies for managing their emotions and coping with stress, this will help them out. We've discussed these themes before in different video casts. Things like deep breathing exercises or mindfulness techniques, journaling, or engaging in creative outlets, whether that be art or music, will help with the regulation of emotion in a teen. Now, it's really important that teens have healthy relationships. And how do you cultivate that? Well, you have peers, you have family members, you have other adults that should emphasize the importance of communication, of respect, and above all, of boundaries and relationships also, as well as providing guidance on navigating conflicts and peer pressure. By the way, this is a period of vulnerability where you step outside of your nuclear family and now you look at your peers as sort of like the de facto source of information that you should keep in mind. Realistic expectations, and that set should be very important. Helping teens set realistic expectations for themselves and their development is really important. Remind them that everyone matures at their own pace and that it's normal to experience up and downs during adolescence. I certainly see this with my 12-year-old also, where all of a sudden she's seeing several of her peers blooming and actually, evolving hormonally at a much brisker pace than she is. But you know what? It's important that she also feel empowered about her own unique self. Encouraging self-care is super important. Emphasize the importance of self-care practices like eating the right things, having a balanced diet, staying physically active, engaging in activities that are, meaningful and pleasurable, and certainly seeking support. It's not a bad idea encouraging teens to seek support from the people who they trust. And that could be adults, it could be their friends, it could be a mental health professional, and especially if they're struggling with maturational changes or facing challenges that might include anxiety, depression, or body image concerns. Those are the reasons for which I oftentimes end up seeing individuals within this particular age bracket. And it's almost heart-wrenching to see them going through periods where they just don't necessarily know what to do. But by providing teens with the necessary support, guidance, and resources, they will absolutely be able to weather the maturational changes that are coming before them in a more confident, strident manner and emerge from adolescence with a strong sense of self and resilience. And through our mindset of gratitude and abundance, we can take a look at how it is that we approach teens and help foster within them the self mastery that's necessary to take that next step in life and now become full fledged adults that are productive and have meaningful existences. I thank you for joining us on the Gus Alva perspective on this thematic of weathering maturational change in a teen. Have an amazing